Okay, so just to let you guys know, we are recording right now. I want to welcome everybody. Kelly Soriano is new to our group and on the call. Hi, Kelly. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lee.
Good morning, Norma. We may have people popping in as we go, but I'm going to go ahead and get started just so that we can move us through in a timely manner. So July 1st, 2019, I mean, every single month I'm shocked that we're this far into the year when we just had Christmas, didn't we? I don't know. It felt like last month. So
seems like it.
I love this image, and I kind of wanted to revisit what Norma and I were just talking about on our recording. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the next slide, which kind of goes with what we were talking about, sort of. We can tie them together. Does somebody want to read this one?
When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
It's all in perspective. It depends on where you are, I guess, in life.
Yeah. Wayne Dyer happens to be like one of the premier teachers of Power of Intention. I think he even wrote a book called Power of Intention. And I like this quote because I think it's great for our students, our agents. I think it's great for us as we're teaching people, but I think it's just great for us as we move through life. Sometimes we can get bogged down, especially as realtors.
Followed by pound.
Uh-oh. Sometimes we can get bogged down in the, oh my gosh, my life is such a mess. I have so much I have to do. You know, these buyers are horrible.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound.
All right, I don't know who to mute right now.
You are in the meeting now. There are 10 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, maybe they can self-mute.
Yeah, everybody, why don't you mute yourselves? I don't know, though, if that came through the call or if that came through somebody's phone. Just go ahead and mute yourselves, and then if you want to share, please just unmute and jump in, because right now I can't see everybody at once on the call, so I can only see 4 of you at a time. But as I was saying, as we walk through life, we feel bogged down, we feel pressured by all the things, especially, you know, I've got to do my real estate job, I've got to teach, I've got to find time for this, how am I going to follow up with that? And we start to feel really sort of put upon and pressured. And I think it's important to remember that how we look at things is how things present themselves. So if I personally feel pressured and bogged down, then the world seems to be a pressure-filled place. When I look at things from a place of gratitude, like, wow, I'm pretty lucky that I have this job. I'm pretty lucky that I get to work with people. I'm pretty lucky that I get to show up for all the things I get to show up for. Then it just has a lighter sort of feel. Would you guys agree with that? And if we're going to use this quote to take into our classroom, how would you guys use this for your agents? Like, how would you help move your agents forward with a quote like this? And somebody just jump in. Mary Pat, you're unmuted, so you can go first if you want.
I was trying to get my audio going, so I missed half the conversation, to be honest.
That's okay. All right, somebody else can jump in, and then we'll come back to you.
Thanks.
You know, it's about expectations. If they anticipate having difficulty or feel insecure or feel like they're not ready, that's exactly what's going to show up for them. But if instead they look at the fact that they know so much and what got them here can be useful to them, and they just have a different perspective. It's anticipating the positive as opposed to anticipating the negative.
I agree. And I think if they believe that they're exactly where they need to be, because don't a lot of them feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything, I'm never going to be able to do this. And helping them realize that, you know what, you're in a class, because you don't know, because you're not supposed to know, because you're new. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and everything's fine. And just keep doing what you're doing, one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. And before you know it, we remember from that 4 stages of learning, before you know it, you're going to be in that unconscious competence state, and everything's going to feel great. But right now, this is where you're supposed to be. And I think just shifting perspective from I don't know anything to I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be can create a lot of space for learning. Anybody else want to comment on how they would use this in the classroom?
I think that you have to explain to them that the feelings that they have, the uncomfortable feeling, is normal, and it's actually good, because every time that you're uncomfortable, you're pushing yourself forward. You're learning new things, and just like with your conscious, unconscionable, that's what it's all about. So your feelings are good, even though they're really they don't feel good.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we're not comfortable feeling uncomfortable as a group of humans. We like to feel unhappy. We don't want to feel uncomfortable. But like you said, discomfort promotes change. It also makes them listen more, doesn't it? If you're stressed out about what to do on a listing presentation, you're going to listen during the listing presentation class. Kermit, did you unmute yourself on purpose?
Hold on. I did. I was just going to say that I try to tell all my students that, everybody, even the multi-million-dollar sellers, have been in this spot before, and if they can make it, you can make it.
Exactly.
And I look at this totally different than the way you guys are looking at it. I look at it as stop thinking inside the box. Look outside the box for different things. That's what people pay us for. Yeah.
Look outside the box. That's good. That's good. Anybody else? I'm scrolling through. I see David Gillis, Joanne, Kim Henderson, Angela. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, next slide. So I just wanted to talk about a few things with you guys. I do have a brief coaching tip chat that we can talk about after this, but I want to go over kind of some basics first. First of all, I just want to go around the room. Anybody have any successes? So a couple of you are new on the call, but some of you have been teaching launch for a while. Some of you are in the middle of launch right now. Some of you haven't had a class for a while. So I'd like to go around the room and just have you just let me know, with launch, what's been working lately. Kermit, you just had a class. I think Kelly, Kermit, a few of you just had some classes.
Yeah, we just had a class, Launch 1, and Launch 1 I think was very successful. I mean, we had 7 people there most days, which is really good for us. Launch 2 has been more, we've had 3 classes, been more sporadic. We had 7 the first day, and then 2 the second day, and then a different 2 the third day. So I don't know what's happened with that.
What do you think is happening with that? Any idea?
I think just calendar mismanagement.
Okay.
Because when I talk to them, they say, well, this popped up and this popped up and this popped up. Always an excuse, one or the other.
Okay. Anybody else? And then I want to come back and talk about attendance, which is actually on my list anyway. So anybody else successes, challenges in launch, an active launch class or something you just finished? Angela, you've been teaching recently, right?
Yeah, I had one challenge, Lee, and that's my last class, the mock settlement was on a Friday, and all the title partners said, hey, we're busy with settlement, so I can't do it.
Okay.
So I had to do a mock settlement with a couple of participants in the class. I mean, it worked out because Carol sent me an outline, so it was fine. But I think in the future I'll just have to remember that. And I reached out to them in plenty of time. It was on a Friday, and they said, hey, we're all busy on Friday, so we can't do it.
So you reached out and they couldn't do it, or they canceled at the last minute?
No, they couldn't do it at all.
Okay.
They were all in settlements. So. Okay,
and that's on our list for today too. You're not the only one experiencing that, so so we can brainstorm that in just a little bit. Anybody else?
I had successes. I had launch 1 and launch 2 taught in a branch and at the manager's request. And both times we had well over 7 people complete both courses. There was a high level of accountability to the manager, and there was a high level of, I could always refer back to the manager to say, and he'll follow up with this on one-on-one coaching. So he had a lot of support to the program, and it was very, very successful and a lot of great reviews.
That's awesome. Excellent. Yay. I love hearing it. How about anybody else? Okay, so let's talk about, so Kim, Kermit, you guys are talking about some stuff, and Angela, I'll come back to your title thing in just a minute. But attendance, you guys segued me nicely into attendance. A big, huge piece of getting, and Kermit, you are a manager, but a big part of making this program successful with regard to attendance is a couple things. One is going to be setting the expectation on day 1. So we do talk about it, I believe, in our instructor material in launch 1 and launch 2, but maybe take a little bit more time on the very first day to set the expectation for how important attendance is. And I'm going to look at a rewrite when we reprint this next go around, which will be in a few months, on taking like a half an hour, 40 minutes on just this topic. They need to understand that right now, especially as brand new agents. Now, if you've got agents coming through Launch Step 2 and they've been in the business a while and they're just coming back for a refresh, it's a little bit different, but we still expect the same level of commitment and attendance in these classes. Otherwise, it's kind of ruining it for everyone else too. So right now, if they're brand new agents, like this is their job. Their job is to come and be trained on the Long and Foster tools, systems, and way of doing business, and to be trained on how to get their business up and into production as soon as possible. So in their best interest, we want them to really commit to being at these classes. We also want them to learn how to manage their own time, like Kermit was saying. A rental, meeting someone for a rental, while very, very important and something that we want to do, they need to learn that they can tell somebody, hey, I've got a class between this time and this time, and I can meet you after, or I can meet you tomorrow, or I can meet you today. So we just need to show them how to have those conversations. And in the beginning, they're kind of scared and they feel like they need to jump to whenever somebody calls. But what we want them to learn to do is to revere their own schedule. And when they revere their own schedule, their potential clients or customers will start to revere their schedule too. Now, I've told people for years, listen, if the only time your client or your customer can meet you is at 10 a.m. and you have this class scheduled from 10 to 12, that's the only time they're moving town, they're moving out, or they're doing whatever they're doing, then you just have a business decision to make, right? Should I do this or should I do that? That's a conscious business decision. And I respect all adults and their ability to make conscious business decisions. But if they're just willy-nilly making plans and not paying attention to their schedule and just sort of at the beck and call of whoever's reaching out, then that's not conscious business decision making. That's just being at the mercy of whatever's going on around you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Have that conversation with them on day 1. So that's a big piece, is having that conversation. Another big piece, and then I want to talk about this for a minute. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Another big part of this is manager involvement. A huge piece of this is manager involvement. Getting the manager, they need to know who's in your class. So just to let you know, before the class starts, we send out an email to all the managers who have people in the upcoming launch class, and we let them know who's in the class. We let them know whether or not they ordered a book and a couple other things. It's not a bad idea for you guys, and this is just extra, something to do for your list. It's not part of what you get paid to do. You get paid to teach, but to keep your class consistent and being successful, or to help it be successful, to reach out to your managers. And all you have to do is grab that manager list of emails, plop it into an email, and just say, hey, this is Lee. I just want to let you know that I'm teaching your class. I've got the following people in my class. Please check in with them, see how the class is going. Give me any feedback if there's anything you can do? If there's anything I can do to make the class better, you know, just let them know that you're teaching a class and that they've got agents in the class. We're letting them know. Additionally, if an agent is not in your class, so let's say you've got 10 people registered and only 7 show up on the first day, shoot an email to those managers of the 3 that didn't show and just let them know that the agents didn't show on the first day. If you've got agents that are coming, let's say it's, you know, 12 sessions, they've come for 3 sessions and now they're not coming back, shoot an email to the manager and let them know, hey, your agent was here, but they haven't come back for the last couple times. And don't be afraid to call the agent directly or email the agent directly and say, hey, we missed you in class. You know, what's going on? Is there anything going on? It's usually one of 2 things. One is they're not managing their schedule, like Kermit said. The other one is they're scared to come back because they haven't done their IPAs, or this is scary. All of a sudden, do you remember the 4 learning stages when all of a sudden it hits them that they've gotten themselves into something? They're not sure they can do it. They don't know if they want to do sales. They don't want to call people. Remember all that? They start getting really freaked out in that conscious incompetence stage. It's very, that's when a lot of people stop coming. So to reach out to them and just see what's going on, get them to open up to you. And if they're afraid to come, just say, come anyway. Because like Kelly said, we'll come up with some out of the box ways for you to do this business if you want to do it. And like Mary Pat and Kim and Norma said, you know, it's just uncomfortable. So it's okay to be uncomfortable. Come be uncomfortable in class. This is what we're here for. We're here to be uncomfortable together so that when you're out there in the world doing your business, you're more comfortable. Make sense? Does it resonate as true? You're allowed to go.
Very true.
It doesn't resonate. So talk to me about, you know, what you think about reaching out to managers if agents don't show, why you think they're not showing. Hi, who just joined? LaTanya? Hi. Yeah, somebody speak up and let me know what you think about that.
I do reach out to managers even before the class. And then if they don't show up, I think it's very important that you're kind of almost you're doing this together with the managers.
Yeah.
And I also at the end let them know that they completed the class or they have an outstanding class. And if I know the manager, we'll give them a little bit of feedback where they might want to focus on the person, because you learn a lot in class about the agents. And I think that it's important that you share it in a good way, not as not being a narc or anything, but just say this person's concerned about, going out and doing listings and things like that. So I think that you have to approach it as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And it's challenging because, for Kim, Kim is teaching launch in an office for a manager. And Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the agents in that class were in that office, correct?
They were all in that except for one, and they were all experienced agents. Even the youngest in the business was probably 6 months to a year, but everybody else, we even had some very experienced agents. And I don't know if it's just our region, but so many people really don't know how to use Cafe to its fullest. So in launch one, where I felt like it might have been a very beginner stage, these experienced agents were grateful to be in that class. And so once we really started picking up momentum, they were begging for launch 2 to happen sooner than later. And so it was the same agents that were in the class, and they really got a lot from it. So, and the manager stopped into the classes a few times, and just we reiterated how he does coaching, and that they can build on that.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're teaching a class in an office where most of the agents are in that office and the manager is very engaged, it's easier to get that teamwork feel going. When you're teaching a class, like Tom Holloway has had, 25 people in his class at one point, right, Tom? I don't know if he can hear me. It looks like he can't. So Tom's had about 20, 25 people in his class, and they're from all over. You know, they're from a bunch of different offices. So it's a little harder to get the managers engaged in that team kind of mentality. So I think we just have to work a little bit harder when we got multiple, offices going on. And I recognize that that's a challenge, and, I'll help you however I can. We're trying to help with the emails, the before and after emails, letting the managers know what's going on. But I think unfortunately, it's going to be up to the instructor to really try to engage the managers as much as possible. And I love the idea of the manager stopping in. And maybe that's something that those of you that are doing multiple office launch classes, can reach out via email and say, hey, if you want to stop into our launch class, please feel free. Let me know when you're coming, and I'll make sure the agents know. And, the agent whose manager is coming in will be very pleased to have their manager there. Even just for a few minutes to say hi. So the other thing Kim just brought up was the fact that she had a bunch of experienced agents in her class. So that's exciting. I love to see that. One of my goals would be to make launch cool. So for agents to keep coming to launch over and over again until they get to that point where they're doing 10 transactions a year on a regular basis. It would be nice for them to come to launch step 2, especially over and over, to get their businesses, reinvigorated from time to time. I'm surprised they all came to launch 1, but that's cool too. So
was in the business for over 30 years. So, and a very successful agent, really. And she had great feedback and really could give some good insight as to how valuable the classes were that we were experiencing. So it was really exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. It's not something we see very often, so I'm glad to hear it. The one thing that I've seen with experienced agents coming through launch step 2, it doesn't sound like it happened to you, Kim, but they'll come, and oftentimes they're coming at their manager request. So it's like if you've been in the business for 2 or 3 years and your last transaction was a year ago, it's very common that the manager will ask the agents to come back through. But what they do is they'll come for a couple times. They feel like they got what they needed, and then they won't come back. Something will come up. They'll have, whatever. So one of the things I want us to focus on with these experienced agents as they decide to join us is to make sure that they know that this is a 12-session class. We want them to come. I mean, having an experienced agent in the class is fantastic because it helps you. It takes some of the pressure off you as the instructor, because they will help you because they've been doing this. So they've been on a couple appointments, they've done some transactions, and they'll have some great stories to support you with, hopefully most of the time. But they need to commit. They need to commit to coming to all the classes. Otherwise, it throws off the groove of the group. When you've got accountability going and you're doing your group coaching at the beginning of class, if you've got agents that are popping in and out, it really kind of destroys the integrity of the whole thing. So I think we really need to work on getting that commitment ahead of time. And if there's anything that I can do to help you with that, please let me know. It's harder sitting at headquarters to have these one-on-one conversations, but I'm willing to help you if I can. Any comments on that or any questions?
I think the recent information that you've been sending out when there are going to be classes scheduled as to how many people are in it, et cetera, is great, because it allows, like, if you have a class coming up and you only have 4 people, you can put a push on to get that 5th person.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't have that on my list. So I don't know, Kelly, if you've been getting this. I think you're on the list. But we just a few weeks ago started sending out. So that report that you guys now get once a week, I've been getting that for the last couple of years every Monday. So I have our team send me a report so I can see what's happening. And I had the huge brain awakening and I went, wait, I should be sending this out to everybody. So everyone's now getting that list. And what it is it's a list of upcoming classes, how many people are registered for each class, and how many promotions we've sent out. The promotion part, we're having a hard time figuring out how to make that easy on Christy to pull together. But you can rest assured that we're promoting the heck out of all these classes. we also have at the top of that report who's teaching a launch class now and whether or not I've gotten your attendance sheet or IPA sheet. Those IPA sheets need to come in every week. And the reason why is because we upload that data into a big report that gets rolled up to our leadership team. So if I don't have the numbers, it holds us up, one, and two, it just, we're not showing what we're doing across the board, and I want them to see what we're doing. But I'm glad that you appreciate that report. I think that was Angela that was talking. Yeah, I want you guys to look at how many people are registered for your classes and feel like you can do whatever you feel like you want to do to push. We're sending emails out. I send personal emails to managers. So in order to run a class, just so you guys know a little bit about what goes on in the back end of this, in order to run a class, we need 5 confirmed registrations. So it costs us about $1,000 to $1,200, depending on launch 1, launch 2, whatever it is, to pay an instructor to teach the class. So, we're spending a lot of company dollar to teach a class. We need to make sure we have people there. And this is a struggle because even if you only have 3 registered, those are 3 brand new people that want to start training. And if I have to cancel a class with 3 people in it, I'm pretty devastated about that. I don't want people sitting there without being able to get trained. Number one, it's not fair to the manager who did the recruiting. It's not fair to the agent. And number 2, they can leave and go somewhere else that has a training program available for them. And we don't want that. So we need 5 people registered or confirmed. And when I say confirmed, my team, Kelly and Christy, right now, Christy's making these calls. We call everybody who's registered the day before the class or a couple days before the class to confirm that they're actually coming. So sometimes we'll have 5 registered, but 2 of them drop out. And then we have a huge decision to make. Do I run the class or do I not run the class? If I've got 3 confirmed and then 1 or 2 decide not to come, like we've been talking about, then we've got you teaching 1 person in a classroom. So you can see the challenge. It's not fun for you. It's not fun for them. They're not getting the benefit of the, mastermind that is a group of students working together. So we're doing the best we can. I mean, part of this is because of recruiting. If the recruiting numbers aren't there, then we're not going to have people for a class. Part of it is just people's schedules, and part of it is they don't know about it, even though we send out emails. I've had people tell me they never saw any emails, and then I've had people try to unsubscribe from our emails because we send too many. So it's like, I try to trick people by sending them out under my name, because sometimes I think people delete Success Path emails because they get so many of them. So we're just working, but yeah, I'm glad you like that report, Angela, and I hope everybody else appreciates it too. And just feel—
I am not on the list, Lee.
You're not? Okay.
Nope.
All right, I'll add you to the list. You weren't on this list either. And last night, as I resent out the invite, I made sure to add you guys. So I'll make sure you're on that list now. So anyway, yeah, you can feel free to reach out to the folks reach out to the managers, let them know that we've got a class at risk, and get some experienced people in the class. They don't have to be brand new, but they have to commit to coming. And these classes are free, so they should want to come. Everyone can take their business to the next level. So any questions on all that? All right, so next topic, and this really kind of only applies to DC, so apologies to everyone else. But right now, anybody teaching any classes in DC, the Prosperity Mortgage class now is not being held within your launch class like it is everywhere else. It's being held at Chevy Chase Circle Training Center 1 time a month. So he's doing a day class and a night class. So all the launch classes that happen in DC actually and Montgomery County will attend that mortgage class. So Angela, have you run across this yet?
Yes, the last class I taught. And I ran across some of my students afterwards, and they talked about how informative it was, and they appreciated being able to do that. So
okay.
all of them, I think all of them attended it.
Okay, and then Tom Brockett, I see are you on the call?
I'm here.
Have you run across this yet for your class?
No, the last class I taught, where that was a part of the program, it was in between. So I taught the financing class when my prosperity guy couldn't be there.
Oh, you taught it yourself?
Yeah.
Throwback Tom. There was a time when we used to teach these classes.
Yeah. Well, this month they're all going down there, I guess, because this will be my first launch one where that's in place.
Okay. So if you guys aren't sure, Tom, if you're not sure how that's working, just reach out to me, because we need to over communicate on this. I want to make sure that nobody gets slips through the cracks and doesn't know where they're supposed to be, and just want to make sure everybody gets what they need. So, okay. So just wanted to put that, I mean, I've got 2 of you on the call, but we have a recording. So for anyone who wasn't on the call, just reach out to me if you have any questions. And then this brings me to launch step 1, and this is across the board. I think, who brought this up? Was that Angela? Make sure that you're coordinating with your mock closing with your title partner as soon as you get a class assignment. So in this case, Angela, you already did that, but it fell on a Friday.
Yes.
So if you're struggling, so most of you should be getting your class assignments, or you're agreeing to your class assignments at least a few months in advance. Sometimes we book classes because somebody calls us and says, hey, we want to have a class next month, so can you put it on here? And we will. But for the most part, we're actually scheduling these things in advance. So the minute you get your class assignment, reach out to your title partner and try to schedule that mock closing. If the day falls on a Friday, you can move it to another day. Just let us know. So if it lands on a Friday and you know that's not going to, most likely that's not going to work out, just reach out to the title person and just say, is there a day that would work better for you? And we can move the schedule if we need to accommodate that. And worst case scenario, you can teach the class, but the whole point of this is to, to introduce our agents to our title partners, but teaching it yourself was fantastic. Both you and Tom for doing that when your partners weren't available. That's the next best. But we really just want them to meet these folks so that, we can encourage usage of our core services. So just make sure, this is a biggie. With Prosperity has a process and a system whereby they coordinate who's going to teach these classes. With Title, because there are a whole bunch of different title partners and the rules are different everywhere, it's very difficult. We've been working on trying to create a system for, a year and a half now. And it's just a struggle to get it done. So unfortunately, it's kind of left up to you to get that done. And again, if you need help, let me know, because I can reach out to Julie King, who's the VP of marketing for the whole company for Title, and she can help me get something done. But if it's a Friday or if it's the end of the month, we're just going to be out of luck and we can push it to another day. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So for attendance and IPA, so I'm going to stop my share of this slide for just a second. And I'm going to share something here. I'm going to share this Richmond. I think this is step 1. Nope, this is step 2. Sorry, hold on. I want to share IPAs. Where are they? I had these up and now they're gone. So give me a second. All right. These Zooms are always fun to do when I'm at home on one screen. And that was kind of sarcastic. All right. Can you guys see my IPA or my attendance for Launch Step 1?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to show you a couple things just to make life easier for everybody. So on the Launch Step 1 sheet, for those of you that are teaching Launch Step 1, at the beginning of, before the class starts, you get this sheet along with anything else you need from our team, correct?
Yes.
And this is usually completed for anyone that is registered up to the day we close the class. So we usually close the class 2 business days prior to the class starting. And we do that so that we can get all of our materials ready and order books, etc. If the class is closed and the person wants to, if somebody wants to register after the class is closed, they get put on what's called the wait list. You guys have all seen that, right?
Yes.
Okay. That doesn't mean they can't come or that there's even a huge waiting list. It just means that the class, it just means that we've had to close the class for what we need to do, and we add them to the wait list, and then we manually add them to the class. This sheet gets generated before all that. So this sheet gets generated the day we close the class, and it usually gets sent to you that day or the next day. If anyone gets added to the wait list, my team will either add them and send you a new sheet if there's time, or they will send you an email letting you know that someone's going to be joining your class that isn't on the list. Have you seen that happen?
Yes.
Okay. One thing I want to let you know, and this is kind of tricky, when someone gets added to your class, if Kelly or Christy email you and go, hey, John Smith is going to be joining your class, don't try to put them in alphabetical order on this sheet. Just add them to the bottom of the list. Because if you try to go in here and add a row and put them in where they go alphabetically, it will mess up all of our formulas on the Excel spreadsheet. Make sense?
No, I've never tried to do that.
Okay. If you haven't tried to do it, don't worry. So just, if you're going to add someone to the list, you would just go in here and you would say, John Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't try to put them in here in alphabetical order. Just add them to the list, and then, you can go through the rest of what you need to go through here. Make sense?
Yep.
It's a little tip. Otherwise, it kind of messes this up. On Step 1, for those of you that are teaching Step 1, we don't care if you put a 1 or an X here, so you're going to have to take attendance every day. So we've got these divided by, assuming that we're doing day classes, you've got a session 1 morning session, and then you've got a session 1 afternoon session. So you're taking attendance in the morning and in the afternoon on your classes, and you're giving them credit for whatever they've attended. So this person here came to session 1, but they didn't come to session 2. They came to session 3, they came to session 4, and they came to session 5. Can you see that?
Yes.
So if you put X's, you can put X's or 1s, it doesn't matter. But what we're trying to track is how many people registered and how many people completed. And then we want to make sure that they know what they need to make up. So this person needs to make up session 2 in order to graduate. Then at the end of session 1, when you turn in your registration sheet, and you don't need to turn in for Launch Step 1, you can turn this in when your class is over. Okay, so you don't have to turn it in every week, but you can turn it in if you want. It's not going to hurt us if you do. At the end of session 1, you're going to put here how many names they added to their database. How many are they supposed to add? Come on, guys.
It's supposed to be 100, isn't it?
Yeah, 100.
Right.
Everyone should know this. They're supposed to add 100 names to their database. That's what they're encouraged to do the entire time. However, 64 names is great, right? 25 names, if that's all they could get, that's fine. 0 names, not so great, unless they just moved here yesterday. But if they moved here yesterday, they can still add names to their database because they can add their names from wherever they lived previously, right? Anybody want to tell me why adding names from somewhere they lived previously would be a good idea?
Referral.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, referrals. So what we want to see is how many names were collected to the database. And then, of course, we want all of these names added to Moxie Engage as part of their 100% Moxie Engage adoption policy, as part of our 100% Moxie Engage adoption policy. all these names need to be added to Moxie Engage, and hopefully they've been, and this is just part of launch 1, they've been subscribed to the neighborhood news if they're licensed. If they're not licensed, they'll do it in launch step 2. So if they have Moxie, or I'm sorry, if they have another tool like, Top Producer or Contactually or Buffini or whatever, then they can use that. They don't need to use Moxie. But we want them into some kind of database. In launch step 1, if they're not licensed or they don't have access to our stuff, they can just collect their names into a spreadsheet. But when you turn this in, we want all of this completed. And then here, Moxie setup, yes or no. So it looks like some of these didn't get Moxie set up, some of them did. And this is a nice way that you can reach out to your managers also and just say, hey, these are the students that did get it set up, get set up in Moxie, and these didn't. We're really working hard as a team with our managers to try to get all these agents up into Moxie. Because we know that if you're just in Moxie, you'll probably get a transaction or 2 a year. Or if your names are in a database, whichever database it is, you'll probably get a couple transactions just out of people knowing you're in the business. So we're trying to help them as much as we can. Any questions on this? Any confusion? Okay, I'm gonna stop share on this. I love it when I stop share because I can see you all in one spot. All right, so 1 second. A little challenging to do this. Here we go. All right. Do you see a launch step 2 IPA sheet?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one is a monster, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not as scary as it looks, but it is kind of scary looking. So again, don't add anyone in alphabetical order here. Just add them on to the end if anyone gets added. And in launch step 2, it's important that when you take attendance, you're using 1s, not X's. Got it? How many of you think this is obvious and you already know it? Okay. That's scary. Nobody said anything. Again, you're going to take attendance for each session. Session 1, session 2, and then you're going to check next to each session whether or not they submitted their IPA. You don't need to put anything else but a 1. A 1 means yes, they submitted their IPAs. So session 1, this person attended, we don't collect IPAs in session 1. Session 2, they didn't attend, they didn't submit IPAs. Session 3, they attended, they submitted IPAs. Session 4, they attended, they submitted IPAs. So that's all you're doing is collecting attendance and whether or not they did their quote unquote homework, okay? Then you're gonna go in your coaching session in the beginning of your class to this tab at the bottom. So this is attendance. This achievements tab you don't need to touch ever. And you're gonna go to your IPA tab. At the beginning of class, for the first 40 minutes of class, what you're doing is you're running through each of your students is automatically going to populate in this page. So every student has a block, and every block has session numbers, and every session number across has a place for you to collect the work that they've done. Okay, so how many names did they add to their database in last session? How many prospecting activities per week have they done, et cetera, and you go across the board. I'm not going to go into this in detail because you already know all this. If you don't know this, please reach out to me and I'll coach you. I know some of you are new and you may not know this. The big thing here, I'm going to slide this over. The big thing here is if they got a listing, you have to put their listing volume in, okay? If they got a contract, you have to put their contract volume in. If they closed, you have to put their close volume in. Okay? That's a biggie because we are collecting, we're trying to collect, you know, how many transactions are being done and then what their volume is. Does that make sense? And all of that, once you collect that per session, it all aggregates here on this page and we can see, I don't know what's happening here, but you can kind of, we can figure this out, and this goes into the reporting that we send up. I'm not sure if something happened to the formulas here. Oh, it's just the way.
I think you just need a wider column.
Yeah, it's just the way I'm showing it here, I think. Why can't I move it? I don't know why I can't move it, but if I mouse over it, you can see the numbers. So that's pretty good. So I just want to make sure you guys are clear on that, because these are just some things that we've seen come up that are a little bit confusing at times. And it just adds that extra work for us. And then of course we have to go back to you and ask you to do it, and it's annoying. So any questions on any of that?
The only question I had was, if your session, if you had 2 sessions in a day, what is the right way to report your IPAs?
Just the way, you just report them once.
Yeah.
And if there's any question when you're sending your IPA in, you can just say, hey, by the way, we had 2 sessions in a day. So I changed the IPAs for those of you that have been around. We used to report them. I mean, you still report them in between sessions, but I collect them weekly for that very reason.
Okay.
Because it wasn't fair to the folks that were piling, that were doing 2 in a day. I don't love the 2 in a day idea, just because I want them to be able to work in between sessions and go do that stuff. But we're trying it a bunch of different ways, and whatever's working, as long as they're out there getting into production, that is our goal. We just want these agents as successful as possible, so that they don't feel like they're not good at this and try to quit after they spent all this time and money. So we want them to live magical lives that we know real estate can provide. So does anybody want to share anything? I feel like I've been talking an awful lot, because I've said everything and you don't need to add anything. I'm so brilliant. All right.
All on mute.
What's that?
I said, or we're all on mute.
Or you're all on mute. Okay. So I just wanted to go over, this is something that I talked about. Oh, can you see my slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So who remembers the success pyramid? Anybody? Sue? I don't know. Norma might. I think I went over this. Norma had to leave to go teach a class. So I showed you guys this back in, I don't know, early 2017, and I thought we've got so many people that joined us since then that this might be fun to review. And this is actually, I had to create a model when I was in coaching school, and I've used this over the years, and I just thought I would share it with you. This is just the success pyramid according to Lee. I ripped off the concept from Maslow. You remember his hierarchy of needs? This is sort of the hierarchy of success. So at the bottom, and you can use this however you want. I can send you this slide. You can use it in class. I think it's just kind of fun. I'm seeing a lot of stressed out, unhealthy people in the real estate business these days. And so I'd like to sort of lean in the direction of supporting people with their health and wellness, in addition to how they sell and how they build their businesses. But in my opinion, at the bottom of the success pyramid is wellness. So mind, body, and spirit wellness. If we don't feel well, enough to go to the grocery store, or we don't feel well enough to go to the dry cleaners, or we don't feel well enough to, do anything out there that we're supposed to do in our day-to-day life, we're not going to feel well enough to take our business to the next level. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
If we don't feel well and our light is dim, because, when you don't feel well, when you're tired and you're run down and you have pain and aches, you don't feel like you're bright and shiny, and you don't feel like your light is shining, do you? You feel like your light's dim. When your light's dim, you're not really helping others. You're not encouraging others to be the best that they can be. And so for us as instructors, it's important to make sure that above all else, we're taking care of our wellness, and that's mind, body, and spirit. So we're not supposed to feel perfectly well all the time, but we're supposed to feel well most of the time. So if we're not feeling well, it's important that we go get the help we need to feel better. So, just take a little scan of yourself from time to time. And if there's stuff in your body that isn't feeling well, go see a doctor, go see a naturopath or whoever you need to go to. If your mind's not feeling well or your spirit's not feeling well, talk to a friend, go see a therapist, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're getting what you need, because that's what's going to make you the best person to help others out there. So at the bottom of the of the success pyramid is wellness. And so for us as instructors, it's important, but for our agents, it's important. And if they're new, now is the time to get them into the habit of taking care of themselves by blocking time out of their week for their exercise, their healthy food shopping, their classes that they need to attend. Then the next level is goals and support. So without a clear vision, it's hard to be successful, right? What does success look like? Where am I going? We want them to have a clear vision, and we do this in Launch Step 2. We help them write this out. We want a clear vision, and it needs to be articulated, and it should be written, and there should be accountability in place so that they know that people care whether they're doing what they say they're going to do. We've got the training, support, and we want them to be in alignment with their values. So is this plan, is this goal that they're trying to achieve, is it in alignment with what's really important to them? So we help them with this in Launch Step 2. A lot of time in Launch Step 2 on this. And then next in the success pyramid is practice, activity every single day. We know that action brings results, right? We've seen a lot of people doing a lot of business that we're shocked, and we're like, how are they doing it? How is that person that successful? Well, why? It's because they're doing it. If our agents stay in action every single day, they will find success regardless of how much they know. Which brings me to the very top of the pyramid, which is the smallest little part is actually knowledge and experience. A lot of these agents, I love this model because I think you can use it in your class. A lot of agents feel like they're not going to do anything because they don't have knowledge. And in fact, it's the smallest little piece. If they feel well, if they know where they're going, if they're in action, the knowledge will come. They have lots of knowledge. They have they have other agents in their office, mentors, they have managers with all the experience that they can draw upon. And most important is stick-to-itiveness. Overlying the whole thing is you got to stick with it, right? You have to stick with it, hang in there day in and day out, even when it's not feeling very great. So what do you guys think about that? Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Do you think you can use this in class? Would you use this slide if I sent it to you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good, I'll send it to you. And let me ask you something else. Is there, and you don't have to share, but is there, or you can share, but you don't need to share in detail. How many of you feel like you need some work and support on that bottom layer of the pyramid? Is everybody perfectly well?
I could use help. This is Joanne.
Hi, Joanne. You could use help?
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you said that. Thanks for being honest, because we could all use help.
Thank you.
I think we could all use help. I think sometimes, those of us that are in teaching, mentor coaching roles, oftentimes we take care of others way more than we take care of ourselves. And I know a couple of you on this call kind of personally, and I know that some of you, I won't mention names, Sue, take care of others a lot. Other kids, other family members, parents, a lot of us, especially as we get older, we're taking care of a lot of other people, and we put ourselves last. And so, Joanne, you're not alone. We all could use this. And what I will tell you is that stress is something that we can't really avoid. Stress is just part of life, and obligation and commitments, all just part of life. But we have to take time for ourselves to get ourselves in a relaxed state, do the exercise, make sure we're making healthy choices for eating and all that stuff. Because eventually, if we're working too hard for everyone else and we're not taking care of ourselves, at some point we're going to crash and burn. And
I think time management needs to be weaved kind of all through this too. And we did talk about this quite a bit in my Launch 2 class. And I said, I know it's cliche from all the trainers and all the gurus out there, but really that schedule starting at 6 a.m., getting up, reading something, eating healthy, doing a little exercise, it goes a far way to do all the rest of the stuff.
It really does. For those of you that haven't seen it, there's a really great book, and there are all kinds of YouTube videos, The Miracle Morning. Has anyone seen that? The Miracle Morning is just a really wonderful book about creating a morning routine that will help you take care of yourself. So you basically, it's called Savers, and trying to remember silence. So you spend some time in silence meditation. The A is for affirmations. The V is for visual. So affirmations, we learned this in Ninja, you know, I am successful, I am worthy, I am valuable, you know, whatever, I am wealthy, whatever your affirmation is. And then spend some time visualizing your day and how you want it to go. Visualizing your, you know, how the day is going to lay out, which tends to really help us get those things accomplished that we say we want to do. And then E is exercise, even just a few minutes of exercise in the morning. And then R is reading, some motivational, spiritual reading, whatever it is you want to read. I do all my spiritual stuff in the morning. And then the last S is for scribing, which means writing. So, you know, maybe writing in a journal and all that. I've started a morning practice like this. I started trying to do it about 5 years ago, but I really focused in on it in the last 2 years, and it has been life-changing. It really, and I get up early to do it, and it just centers me. It makes me feel calm. I've started doing some guided meditations. I do a little bit of a yoga practice, about 15 minutes every morning. And I'm just saying, for me, it has helped. I was the type A, overstressed, doing too much, overcommitted, and it really hit me hard a couple of years ago. And so I've been doing this not because I'm so spiritual or anything, but because I felt like if I didn't, I was going to end up in a loony bin. So it's been helpful, and I really encourage you guys to do it. And Kim, I think it's a great thing for us to teach our agents.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually right now, you're probably going to hear more of this than you ever wanted to hear, because I'm in the middle of taking a nutritional therapy practitioner certification program. It started in February, it ends in November, and I am just really motivated to help as many people as I can just understand that they come first. And when we put ourselves first, we can be the light of the world. You know, when we put ourselves first, we can change lives. And I think that's what we're here to do. So if you need any help around this, let me know, and I'll guide you in the right direction, or at least I'll give you some options to think about. But you guys matter, and what you're doing is good work. And I just want to make sure you're healthy, and that your agents are too. So any comments? No? Do you guys agree? Can I get an amen?
Amen to that. And I'm getting on the treadmill as soon as this call ends.
Who's that?
Joanne.
All right, I'm going to hold you to it.
Okay.
Don't tell a coach what you're going to do, because they're going to hold.
I'm going to do it. That's why I'm saying it, so I can be held accountable. Thank you.
Good. And we have, you know, I don't know, this is just something I'm throwing out. We're getting ready to get to the end of our times. Oh, we are at the end of our time. We do have a Facebook group for Success Path faculty. It might be a little too open for us to share stuff like this, but you know, we can always post our stuff on there if we want to, but maybe we'll think about doing something else, maybe a secret private group where we can really share openly about things that, you know, we want to do for our health and wellness and our training and even our business. If you think, would you be interested in that, or would it just be one more Facebook group you have to deal with?
I'm very interested.
Okay. Joanne, if you want to send me an email and let me know what you're working on, and I'll hold you accountable.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys, it's 9:30. Thank you so much. If you have any questions on any of the stuff we've talked about or any comments, please let me know. And I appreciate you all. And thank you so much for being on the call.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good day.
you.
All right, have a good day.
Happy
Bye-bye.
4th.
Okay.
Thank you. Happy
All right.
4th. Yay.
Okay. Yay. Okay. Bye-bye.